Burnout. If you're the parent of a child with disabilities, you know what I'm talking about. That's why today's video, I'm going to give you some tips and advice on how you can better take care of yourself so you can be a healthier and happier special needs parent. Hi, I'm Kelly Mantone, the founder of Accepting the Gift, a ministry for Catholic special needs parents. So, what is self-care and how can we use it to prevent burnout? Well, let's start with a definition. The Oxford Dictionary defines self-care as the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. It also says the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress. So don't think of self-care as a luxury or something self-indulgent. Think of it as a way to protect our health and well-being. And isn't that the very same thing that we're trying to do for our children? And of course, we have to recognize that so much of the stress in our lives comes from a society that is not designed to meet the needs of our children and our families. But those are really large problems that are going to take a long time to dismantle, and we might not have the time to get involved in those fights ourselves. So I'm going to focus on the small things that you can do personally to make your life better on a day-to-day basis and prevent burnout. The first step in practicing self-care is recognizing your limits as a parent and a person and admitting that you're going to need help to take care of yourself and prevent burnout. The next thing to do is take a self-care inventory. I have a copy linked below. Nothing on this self-care inventory is unreasonable, even for the parent of a child with disabilities. So go through it honestly and see where you score. And then look at the areas that have the lowest scores where you're really lacking and pick one, maybe two, where you'd like to improve. Remember, self-care, taking care of our health and well-being, it's not indulgent. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity. And if it's still really hard for you to think of taking care of yourself and putting more time into yourself during the day, remember that, self-care sometimes includes things we don't like doing for ourselves, like going to the doctor for, say, a mammogram or a well visit. And look at areas where you're doing these things for other people in your family, maybe even your friends. You're making sure that they're going to their appointments and they're taking care of themselves and doing these things, but you're not doing it for yourself. That would be a really good place to start. Obviously, there will be times when your family is in survival mode and you're not going to be at your best. But that's why it's so important to practice self-care and taking care of your health and well-being the rest of the time. So when a crisis, like say an emergency admission, pops up, you don't immediately become burnout or worse, get sick and become unable to care for your child and family. That strength that you're going to need to persevere is fortitude, and that comes from God. And that's why it's so important to make God and time with God a part of your self-care. Just like your physical, mental, and emotional needs, you have spiritual needs that need to be met as well. So when you think about carving out a little bit of time every day for yourself, think about where can you carve out time with God. Even if it's short prayers here and there throughout the day, just an ongoing dialogue with God, letting Him know how the day is going, where you need help, and thanking Him for the little things is going to make a big difference in your spiritual health and well-being as you also take care of your physical, mental, and emotional needs. To get those 5 minutes you need every day, and hopefully a little bit more, you're going to need help. And I know that this can be a really huge hurdle for a lot of people, but you're going to have to get help, whether it be from your spouse, maybe from your other typically developing children, or maybe it's going to be extended family or friends or people in your parish community. You're going to have to get help to take things off your plate so you can make more time for yourself. If you're not comfortable having other people take care of your child for you, then look at other things that you can outsource to give yourself a little bit of time or respite during the day. What about housekeeping, yard work, carpooling duties, grocery shopping, different delivery options for things? And these don't necessarily have to cost extra money. Most of us, many of us, all of us have people that approach us, say, let us know if you need anything. How can I help? Well, come up with a list of these things that you need help with. You can't have someone maybe watch your child for you, but maybe if someone else can pick up your grocery order or pick up your child at soccer practice, that will give you a little bit of peace and take one thing off your plate to help you relax and unwind and prevent burnout. I know it can seem overwhelming. This is like one more thing you have to do. It's more time you have to put in to line up help and ask people for help, and work with other people and do these things. But it's going to pay off. Whatever you put into it is going to pay off. Your relationship with your spouse, your children, it's going to improve when you take care of yourself. I promise you. And you know what? I get it. I know how frustrating it is when we hear our friends of typically developing children say, oh, they're stressed out, they're burnt out, and then they go and they take a weekend spa retreat with their girlfriends. And of course, that's something that most of us will never be able to do, even with help. But just because we can't do that doesn't mean we can't do other things for ourselves. And just because our lives look different from our friends, it doesn't mean that our lives are bad or that they're devoid of joy. They're just different, and we can find peace and joy, and we can make time for ourselves even in the life that we have. And also, just because our lives look different, it doesn't mean that we have a right to feel bitter or feel resentment towards other people. Negative feelings like envy and resentment or anger, they're only going to contribute to burnout, and they're really going to hinder our efforts to ask for help from other people and really improve how we feel about our daily lives. Look, things are hard. It's hard being the parent of a disabled child. And cliched sayings, which we've all heard, funny memes, self-help books, a lot of that stuff, it's not going to help us feel better. But choosing every day to root out those negative thoughts and feelings and to find small joy in each day, to keep that conversation with God going, where we're thanking Him for the good things that we do see and we're asking for help for our struggles. Those things, along with taking care of ourselves, meeting our basic needs, along with the needs of our families, that's what's going to make a difference. That's what's going to help you. So leave behind the anger that you feel towards other people when they get to take their spa weekends. Don't worry about that. Focus on what you can do where you're at. And I know that this video and my advice, it's not going to completely erase the struggles of caring for your child, but I just hope that I can give you some tools here that are really going to give you the strength, and of course, reaching out to God, that He can give you that perseverance and fortitude to keep going in your vocation. If you want more advice on how to prevent burnout, take care of yourself so you can better care for your family, I advise you to check out our workbook, Peace in the Margins, Self-Care for Special Needs Moms, which elaborates on everything that I discussed in this video, plus gives you a lot of worksheets for you to write and fill in your thoughts and track your progress. I also encourage you to find an in-person support group at your parish or in your community so you can meet with other special needs parents and network and get support that way. And if you can't find people locally, then I invite you to join our Facebook group. We do online support meetings, and we also have a wonderful community there where you can share your concerns and get support. And if you've watched this video and you feel like you really can't do any of this, you're overwhelmed, or you try to do it and nothing's working, then I do advise you to please seek out mental health professionals so you can get treated for depression if need be. Prayer and the tips that I'm giving you are no substitution for good mental health care. So thank you for watching. If you have any additional tips, leave them below. Until next time, watch this next video and see you then. Bye.